Now, other interesting cultural news, you have ESPN hosts ranting on Ron DeSantis, which I was going to say, this is one of those things where they've been doing this from the 90s, I believe, where ESPN was tanking in the ratings because no one was watching the sports balls being thrown anymore. And apparently, I don't know if it's an organic idea or if it just happened, but one of the sports broadcasters eventually started talking about politics, which reinvigorated the channel with the ratings because politics is, by its very nature, more controversial, more, I would say, for many people, it's more interesting than sports balls. So they increased their overall audience, but in a way, they also alienated the people who's really passionate about the sports balls throwing and catching and kicking and stuff. And those people, they weren't tuning in for the politics. They wanted I want to know, what's the player background, what's the sports ball yardage for the touchback or whatever. So I don't know how many people really stuck around. And they're still doing this to this day. I believe the first instance I read about this was Ben Shapiro's book called Primetime Propaganda, where he talks about the original three channels. You have ABC, CBS, NBC, ABC. And talk about the pivotal moment where they went from purely making profit to pivoting to making a cause. And ESPN was one of the outliers where I believe they were affiliated with ABC at one point. They're now owned by ESPN, which owns ABC and ESPN and a couple other stations as well. But they just continue to lean into that trend. We even had some of the ESPN hosts coming out as anti-Second Amendment, which I would guess most people that watch sports balls I would consider more patriotic or more American, so they probably believe in the Second Amendment, I would hope. So that would be that alienated a lot of folks. I know, in terms of anecdotally speaking, from my group of friends, some people stopped tuning in primarily because of that reason. Now, as the election gets closer and closer, you're probably going to see more and more of this mixing of business and entertainment with politics. Now, it looks like specifically we're looking at Ron DeSantis. Now, the Republican first debate is coming right around the corner at August 23rd. So far, the following gentlemen and gal have qualified. You got Ron DeSantis, who's governor of Florida. You have Nikki Haley, which many people could just call Diet Hillary Clinton. You have Tim Scott. You have Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, interestingly, I almost laughed. Well, I did. Interestingly enough, Mike Pence still doesn't qualify yet. Apparently, you need to have 40,000 donors, as well as have at least 1% of the Republican poll in any primary poll. Now, this doesn't mean he doesn't run. This is the qualifications, I believe, for actually to get on the debate stage. So just getting on the stage, you do have some qualifications to get there. Now, interestingly enough, Trump's not going to be in time because he's already ahead of all the polls, and I don't think he sees much. He's actually said there's not much of an upside for him. He's already beating them. What would him going to those debates even do for him? He already has the content he needs. If anything, if he was on the political chessboard, if I were in Trump's shoes, I would just focus on Biden's policies and trying to shift the focus to the government's ineptitudes. And there's a lot of content there, but unfortunately, Trump also has a kind of that polarizing situation where a lot of people focus on him, not the policies, and not his opponent's policies, which I believe is one of the main reasons he lost in 2020. Now, it looks like when it comes to the specific ESPN host, you have Stephen A. Smith. So it's not the Stephen Smith from American Dad. I did a little bit of research. It's not an animated little character. And it looks like this gentleman, so he's a commentator, and he's wearing a sleeveless Under Armour sweater. If you can't see, if you're only tuning in on a podcast, which is on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, I was nodding my head in disappointment because there was a time when gentlemen would always suit up, as a philosopher might say. And nowadays, people are actually they are not ashamed to just go to the office in casual. It's not even Friday when he had this, I believe. Which, Casual Friday, one debate, that's gone too far in and of itself. People even wear sandals on the day, but I digress. We actually have Stephen Smith. So he is apparently an American sports personality, and he is from the Bronx, New York City, born in '67, and best known for an NBA analyst for ESPN at SportsCenter. And it looks like, let me pull up a quick little video of him.
Quick question for you.
No. There we go.
But the more I see stories like this, the more it alerts me to the fact that Ron DeSantis, you don't need to be governor. You don't need to be president either.
What does this have to do with football again? Oh, nothing. Okay, never mind.
Battles that he's fighting are just unconscionable. Why is the governor concerning himself with African American studies. By the way, in the state of Florida, it's been being taught since 1994. Why are you concerning yourself with such things? And when it says here, because I want to make sure that I'm quoting it correctly, laws and structures in schools that suggest anyone is privileged or oppressed based on their race or skin color.
Yeah, so this is coming from Ron DeSantis trying to ban CRT in a state. Yet another media spin where, so very similar to the pejoratively called Don't Say Gay bill, which did not have the word gay in the bill itself. They simply said, I believe it's for kindergarten or to third grade, you're not allowed to discuss any sexual themes with children. That includes straight. That's all sexual themes. You're not allowed to talk about them with kindergarten or third grade. Why some people were irate about that, including Disney's former CEO Bob Chapek and the corporation in and of itself, is beyond me. Why you need to indoctrinate a kindergartner about your orientation, whatever it is, I don't understand how I don't know how people fathom that as child appropriate. Now, in terms of the CRT, there are actually explicit books where they were saying different children were valued differently based on their race, which is disgusting because the United States, the foundation of our country, is all men are created equal. That's what founding fathers wrote, and they're infinitely smarter than pretty much every political. No, I was about to say pretty much. No, every commentator today you hear on the media.
Are you trying to deny the fact that white folks have been privileged compared to other races?
They certainly are privileged when it comes to college admissions. They're actually discriminated against for decades until the United States just recently overturned affirmative action.
Of people in this country?
Let me see here.
Are you kidding me? That is a fact that even white folks haven't denied.
Okay.
Now, that media little clip was actually courtesy of the Daily Wire on Bed Show. I took a little peek at it. And what does this have to do with football? So you're seeing a lot of this being taken out of context because of Ron DeSantis. And again, I don't agree with all his political statements or all his policies. I certainly agree with the ones that have helped help businesses and people out exponentially. And he has some great policies. But they're quite literally manipulating all of his actions and policies, not only to be inauthentic, they're lying about the policies, but they're also, of course, doing it to make him look as bad as possible. Now, there's a lot of debate philosophically, from a cultural perspective, why are you having all these TV shows all venomously attacking Republicans? I've yet to see a single broadcaster talk negatively about anyone on the left. And it's fascinating to see people still tune into these shows, but I guess they just don't care about the bias. Interesting. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers so in the next couple of 30 days. So I really appreciate everyone taking the time to subscribe. Also, don't forget to like and comment. Those things also greatly help the videos get shared more often. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Heck, tell your coworkers again, tell your enemies again. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.